along with that, welcome our experts, Dr. Nitin Shah sir, Dr. Sanjay Marathe sir. Offline, we have our respected Pramila Kulkarni madam and Dr. Deepa Joshi madam, and dignitaries on the dais, MS sir, and of course, the professor, head of the department, PG coordinator of this institute, and Maharashtra IP treasurer, Dr. Ravindra Sonawne sir. He is here, under whose guidance we are celebrating today the World Rabies Day. So theme for this year is Act Now, You, Me and Communities. So we are going to have a panel discussion. So I would like to thank everyone present online and offline, and we'll start with the proceedings. Yes, I would like to request Dr. Neelam Mohan madam to say a few words on occasion of this.
Thank you so much. It's indeed a pleasure. Thank you to invite me on this beautiful forum, respected dignitaries, colleagues, friends, members of IAP, Maha, IAP, and the others who have joined us in our committed health endeavors towards public health. And it's indeed an opportunity to be here to speak something that's so critical to child health and public health in India. So, just a few words because I think this is very important to realize that rabies is one of the most tragic, if I may be allowed to say, is the tragic and entirely preventable infections. It used to be said that globally, probably 60,000 people die annually, with one-third of the brunt in India. And I was listening to a lot of NDTV interviews with our experts, even from the IAPNs were there. But the latest statistics, which came from the ICMR, that had said that there are 9 million animal bites annually. And as per that statistics, the deaths were not close to 20,000. They said probably around 6,000. But the criticism is that there is a lot of underreporting, there is gaps in surveillance, and gaps in confirmation, the lab confirmation, which does fit. We have a lot of experts here, but wearing the cap of the leadership of IAP, it is my utmost responsibility to just convey to you that the challenges that we are facing in India presently is that number one, there is underreporting, inadequate surveillance. Number two, there's access to the vaccination and immunoglobulin. We always face these issues, whether it is rural or even in urban centers, in the healthcare centers, you are supposed to having, but sadly it's not there. Number three, there is gaps in the dog vaccination. And number four, when we talk about the dogs, sterilization, that issue is still needs to be addressed. And related to the financial constraints with the municipal, of course, we are all animal lovers, but at the same time, we need to address the issues because that half of the brunt of this is borne by children rather than adults. So, therefore, it's extremely important for us to raise public awareness in probably forums like this where they come together. We need to shake the policy makers. IIP can be a voice for the policy makers so that there is mandatory reporting, there is availability of the vaccines and the immunoglobulin, and as I said about the dog vaccination. And of course, we need to realize about the One Health, which we mean that there needs to be intersectoral connections and intersectoral where we address the issues related to this so that we are able to address this. And last and not the least, my comment would be as pediatricians, it becomes extremely important to ensure that we need to not only be advocates and involve the community, we need to inform all our colleagues the importance of wound care, which I think still there is a lot of confusion, the wound care, the timely, the immunoglobulin, how that has to be given, the vaccination, the stray dog behavior. So this all becomes equally part of uh, us as an IPN, as our, the hat of advocacy that we wear. And last but not the least, we all, as pediatricians, scientists, we all have to evaluate and keep researching the various innovations, how we can do to integrate this and have digital thing to improve the um, reporting, etc. And I would once again like to congratulate the Vasant Rao Municipal, Institute. Correct me, Dr. Ravindra, for that. And it's so enlightening to see that the work you all are doing in this rabies, as you're one of the centers in Nasik. And I would like to congratulate the IAP Nasik. I would like to congratulate Maha IAP to have together experts like Dr. Nitin Shah, Dr. Sanjay Marathe, Sharmala, and Deepa Joshi on this forum who are going to address under the able leadership of Dr. Sanjay Pakmode and Amol Pawar. And I, on behalf of Central IIP, would sincerely like to congratulate and ensure that you all do more such community health and public health. And I think it is time for this institute and my to take this leadership forward to address not only the pediatricians, so that, as I said, there is lack of awareness on basic wound caring, vaccination, immunoglobulin, the schedules, etc. But their WHO has made it very simple now, and but also to take these drives into the schools and community, and the mother groups could be, so you can champion it. And I commit on behalf of IAP that on this World Rabies Days, let us renew our commitment to eliminate human rabies from India, because India is supposed to be the highest place for human rabies. And so I agree with what was told. It's like absolutely call to action. And thank you once again for having me over. And as you can see, when I said commitment, it's not only asking from you all or from the community and all. You can see my commitment. Uh, I am available probably in the middle of the night to ensure that Ravindra gets the voice that we wanted to have from IIT.
Thank you.
And thank you again for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Neelam ma'am, for your encouraging words and guiding words. Uh, this was late this year. I tried to propose this in executive board that we should celebrate World Rabies Day this year under the banner of IAP in all over the states. But I would request you to include this World Rabies Day 28 days celebrations next year in the schedule of IAP Weeks and Days celebration week. Thank you, ma'am. I welcome Dr. G.V. Basavaraja, sir, our beloved immediate past president of National IIP, to this gathering. And I would request, sir, to have a few words with us. I also welcome Dr. Ramesh Bajania, sir, also vice president of West Zone.
I wanted to, sorry.
Basavaraja, sir, first.
Yeah, I wanted to just mention, I did not see Ramesh in the scene. I would like to congratulate Ramesh Vijani, Vice President.
Thank you.
When
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Basavaraja, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Amulji. Our national president, Dr. Vasant Kalatkar, president-elect, Dr. Neelam Mohanji, our senior vice president, Dr. Ramesh Bajania ji, and the head of the department of pediatrics, Professor Ravinder Sonavane, and all other dignitaries who has been joined, Dr. Amul Pawar, Dr. Sanjay Pakmode, and all the people who have been joined. the World Rabies Day, which has been celebrated on the 28th of September and every year. So this is a very, very meaningful way as a pediatric society and Department of Pediatrics and medical institution. So of course, this year theme is a very, very uh, good theme. Act now. It is time to act by everyone. It could be you, me, and community per se, where everyone has to act. That's where the whole beauty of and how we can eliminate the rabies. This is where our professional organizations like Indian Academy of Pediatrics, which is in a world second largest with a 50,000 member, with the stalwarts like Dr. Nitin Shah, Sanjay Marathe, Sharmila Kulkarni, who are being going to be there, Deepa Joshi, who are going to deliberate on the scientific content. I'll not talk much on the scientific content which is going to be deliberated today. But what is more important, each one of us as can play in a major role as an individual, as a department of pediatrics, as a community where awareness, education, and vaccination, these are the three important things which is very, very much required by the community to achieve this rabies-free India, because maximum cases which has been occurred in where we have seen it in India, there is a Supreme Court case which has been going on in Indian things. So where the Indian Academy of Pediatrics has to play then a major role in a policy making. Now it has not been there in a national immunization schedule, which is not been there in an IAP schedule. Now we are giving an post-exposure prophylaxis, and for iris we are giving it for a pre-exposure. So it has to come in now the parents with the lot of awareness which has been created and education has been created. The parents are now coming and demanding for the pre-exposure prophylaxis. Till now we were more towards a post-exposure prophylaxis. This is where the Indian Academy of Pediatrics can play not only the vaccinating in a pre-exposure prophylaxis and also the dogs, not only the high-risk population, even general population. So this is where our Indian Academy of Pediatrics can play a bigger role. So I'm sure. So the Neelam Mohanji who is going to take over next year will look into this and come out with this. Once again, I congratulate the Department of Pediatric VPMC Medical Institution where I happens to be there previously in a, as an examiner there. So, so they are taking in a very great initiative under the leadership of Dr. Ravinder Sonavane and of course well supported Maha-AP, Dr. Sanjay Pakmude and Dr. Amul Pawar under the guidance of Dr. Ramesh Vajania ji. Best wishes for the today's academic program. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Visionary President, Dynamic, the mitochondria of IAP, Dr. Basavaraja sir, for your encouraging words. Now I will move on to Dr. Ramesh Bajania sir. He is the Vice President of West Zone for his words of wisdom. Ramesh sir, please.
Yes, Amol bhai.
Yeah, please sir.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. In fact, this is such a useful theme today because till now we have been discussing reviews in classroom, conferences, seminars, but now it's a high time that a community becomes sensitive. When we were, Dr. Basal sir were talking, right, at that time only I got one patient of dog bite. So since it was suggested, we have started that 10 minutes thorough washing with Savlon and under the tap. That should be mandatory before subjecting for other types of, like many a times, I have seen the patient, they go come with dressing. So it is better always to tell them what is current, what is latest science, and straight away it should be implemented to the society. So I congratulate my led by the leadership of Dr. Sanjay Kakumode and Dr. Amal Pawar, with the help of Dr. Ravindra, that you are carrying out each and practically every activity as per the days. So in future also, let us hope that we'll keep it always shy that we are. And thank you so much once again for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, dear Ramesh sir, for your words of wisdom. Now I will take this opportunity to call Dr. Samir Dalwai sir who is the past treasurer and past joint secretary admin of Central IIP, for his words. Samir sir. Samir sir, please unmute yourself. I think so, he is.
The phone
his
is.
video is freeze. So at this juncture, I will request words from our dear beloved President of Maharashtra IIP, Dr. Sanjay Pakmode sir. Sir, please. Please unmute, sir.
Thank you, Amol. Namaskar. First of all, let me congratulate VPMC Medical College and the head of the department, Dr. Ravindra Sonone, and his team for conducting this particular day, that is a International Rabies Day, which is celebrated on 28th. We are doing one day prior. VPMC has already done a National CPR Day also, and this National Rabies Day. So, lot many things about these two programs which are mainly involved with the community, and where everybody's role is there, right from the professionals to the people who are involved and the community, so that we can spread the awareness about this is a very dreaded disease for which vaccination is the only answer, and we have to make aware the community about the complications if it has not been taken properly, right? Means, as Ramesh Bajania sir has said already, right from the 10-minute washing with the Savlon and soap is very important as a primary care, and then the post-exposure vaccination, and depending on the classification of the wound, we have to go for rabies immunoglobulin. So why we all pediatricians also know everything about rabies. Every time we hear rabies, but still we find every program is a new and it teaches something, because it is such a problem where every case comes with here and that. And in pediatrics, there are n number of problems because some parents has seen, parent has not seen. Then they give the confusing history when we ask them to take the vaccination. Then they tell, nahi, aisa nahi hua tha, aisa nahi hua tha. Then they confuse you. So in the last program, where in the MAHAIP, in the last month only, our blockbuster program, Vaccine Samvad with the Doinap vaccine, Dr. Nitin Shah sir has already taken this program for almost 1 hour with the esteemed faculties, and he had answered so many questions. In that program also, we came to know that there are n number of things which really were the enlightening and have updated us about the few problems. And that one video of how to infiltrate rabies immunoglobulin, that was also wonderful, which we circulated in the maximum WhatsApp group, so that whatever we are doing is correct, or we need some changes in that, so that it will be properly infiltrated and patient will be benefited from that. So all these things are very important. So this National Rabies Day celebration, and with the expert faculties like Dr. Nitin Shah sir and our own from Nagpur city, Dr. Sanjay Marathi sir as a panelist, and Sharmila Kulkarni madam from the Nasik, and Deepa Joshi madam from the Nasik. They are going to enlighten us on this particular, a very important disease, where nowadays we hear a lot of, because the dog lovers have won the case in the Supreme Court, to the extent they have changed the verdict. Dog lovers, they now, initially Supreme Court has said ki all the dogs should be kept in isolation, and then the Supreme Court changed the verdict ki no, that we can't do it under the pressure of the dog lovers. So now it becomes more important for us, rather now it more responsibility comes to us, that how to, means we have to handle so many cases of rabies, and that too so rationally, so that we should know each and everything. So for this, we need update, as well as we should also tell the community about what are the primary measures and how to deal with it. So with this, I would like to welcome Dr. Respected Dr. Vasant Kalatkar sir, President IAP CIP, respected Dr. Neelam Mohan madam, elect President-elect, past President Dr. Basavaraja sir, Vice President West Zone Dr. Ramesh Bajania sir, and our two faculties, Dr. Nitin Shah sir and Dr. Sanjay Marathe sir and Sharmila Kulkarni and Deepa Joshi madam, our dynamic secretary Amol, our treasurer Dr. Ravindra Sonone, and all the attendees and all the staff of the VPMC Medical College, who are very instrumental in celebrating all these particular days and helping us in making this program at as a state as well as the national levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay sir, for your guiding words. Only 2 minute each speech by blessing by our dynamic Dr. Atanu Vadra sir and then Samir Dalwai sir. First Atanu sir, please cut short your time sir.
We'll 25 minutes and we have not still started science. I'm little upset.
2 minutes sir.
I'm being very honest.
1 minute each sir. 1 minute.
I think Nitin sir is correct. So just we can continue, but congratulations to Maha IP and Ravindra Sononati. Thank you. Please continue.
Samir sir.
So I'll cut out the formalities. I just wanted to make a point. Of course, greetings to all. The issue of man-animal conflict is getting more and more prevalent because of a larger change in the social environment as well as the climate change. So whether it is zoonosis, whether it is rabies, one angle is doctors discussing vaccination and how to treat the dog bite. The second is overall how we will coexist with all the living forms on this planet. हमारी ये नहीं है कि हमारा ही पूरा अर्थ है. So thank you so much. I think that thought should also be given. And thanks, my IP, for giving me an opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you all dignitaries who have joined online. Now I will hand over to Dr. Nilima. Please, Nilima, continue.
Yes, thank you, sir. Dr. Amol Pawar, sir, if you want to add something from your side.
Nothing. I'm the host. Please continue.
Okay. Now we'll start with our panel discussion. I will invite head professor and head of the department, Maharashtra IP treasurer, Dr. Ravindra Sonone sir, as a moderator for the program.
So I welcome and also thankful to the CIP, MAHAIP, CIP President Vasant Kalatkar sir, Neelam Mohan madam, Basavaraja sir, Atanu Vadra sir, Yogesh Parekh sir, and our MAHAIP President Sanjay Pakmole sir, Amol, then the speakers, mainly Nitin Shah sir, and Sanjay Marathe sir, Sharmila Kulkarni madam, and Deepa Joshi madam. So we will start now. So World Rabies Day is celebrated on September 28th. Being a Sunday, we are we are preponing this program. So what is the importance of World Rabies Day? We will see. So that rabies is 100% is fatal, but 100% it can be prevented. That you should remember.
सोनाम ने सर स्लाइड शो करा.
Oh,
Make it a full screen, huh?
Okay. Yes. So this is the picture of dog, but that cute dog can kill you. Okay. So now, first question I will start with the Sanjay Marathe sir. What is the burden of rabies? And what is the epidemiology in short?
Thank you, Ravindra, for the opportunity. Rabies is such an important disease across the globe. We have got cases reported all over the world, except few areas of Antarctica and in India, some parts of Lakshadweep, Andaman and Nicobar. More than 100 countries have already reported rabies in the cases. If you see, the total cases reported per year is about 59 to 60,000, but I'm sure it is highly under-reporting has been done. And the disease as always seen, the disease now is predominantly seen with the Asian, African countries, and unfortunately our country tops in it. Globally, 60,000 deaths, 3.7 million dialysis, which is a significant disease burden. As far as you talk about the Indian scenario, we have about 20 to 30,000 deaths reported, which contributes about 64% in Asian cases and 33% globally. This has happened basically because of the unfortunately non-availability of good quality vaccines, then non-availability of monoclonal antibodies, and inadequate treatment offered and poor awareness in the community. But with the new modern cell culture vaccines and free availability of monoclonal antibodies everywhere and good awareness, I'm sure the picture is going to be better and we can save more and more number of cases to ultimately achieve the target of the WHO by 2030, which says we should not have a single case of rabies because of the dog bite. The Western world has already achieved it by effective interventions, like what I've already said. But Americans are now facing a different problems. As the bat is not included in our country as a animal to be given anti-rabies vaccination and all that exposure to the bat, the Western world, especially Americans, they are having almost all the deaths because of the either contact with the bat or a bite with the bat. And hematophagous bat or the vampire bats are two important bats which have been seen. And I think this is the basic issue of the epidemiological things. Should I go with the animals and the modes of transmission?
Yes. Now, second question to Nitin Shah sir. What are the host reservoirs of rabies and mode of transmission? In short, animal causing rabies. Nitin Shah sir.
So the general principle is that the mammalian animals bites or exposure leads to rabies. The others generally don't. Not all mammalians bite would lead to, like bats in India are not known to. It's the silver hair bats in the US caves that you get, and there even inhalation can be the mode of transmission. But 90 to 95% of the rabies exposure, rabies cases happen because of exposure to cats and dogs. Dogs being the main and the cats being the next. And there are others like foxes, jackals, camels, etc. I mean, even lions and cows and buffaloes and elephants and all of them can theoretically transmit. But I always say that these huge animals generally don't bite you unless you are extremely adventurous. And first of all, you have to survive their assault rather than to die of rabies. So that's the big thing. But there have been cases of lion exposure. Children have been saved in Gujarat recently, and so on and so forth. Which animals don't lead to rabies is the domestic rats are not known to. Squirrels, a very rare occasional case in south, but generally squirrels no, birds no, rabbits no. So these are the animals which are like exception to the rule. The mode of transmission is either by a bite, because all these animals who are rabid, they have a very high concentration of rabies virus in the saliva. So when they bite, the saliva transmits the virus into the area where it is bitten, and from there it gets entry into the nerve root, and from the nerve root it goes ascends to the central nervous system, and it leads to brain stem encephalitis. And because it's brainstem encephalitis, the patient is unfortunately awake almost till end. And it's a very painful death for the child. The other modes of transmission, of course, lick, because not only the bite but even saliva, as I said, is so high in concentration that a lick on a damaged skin or on a mucosa which is intact can also lead to. Very rarely human to human, of course, that doesn't happen anymore. In past, where organ transplant allowed from anyone and everyone, patient who had CNS disease, and if they had done rabies like humans, then corneal transplants and organ transplants have led to the type of rabies. But generally, it is the cats and the dogs. And if we can prevent cats and dogs exposure and proper treatment, we can prevent. And as Sanjay said, I think we have no dearth of vaccine today, either in public health or in private market, including the monoclonal antibodies now, which have become very effective and cost effective. It is the lack of awareness. I mean, we hear some police inspector died, some big personality died because they are exposed. They think the lick is okay. They have pets at home. They think the pet is vaccinated, so we don't need rabies. These are the main reasons why rabies is still out of control in our country.
Yes, thank you, Nitin Shah sir. The next question was already some points are covered in that. So, what are the animals which are not causing rabies?
I think I already covered that, right?
Just in short.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so-
Sharmila can reiterate. Yes.
So Dr. Nitin has already covered it, but I like to expand on it because it is very important that we know what bites are acceptable. You need not panic. Suppose a cockroach bites you at home, every time you need not panic and go and take a vaccine. So this picture looks like a nice Alice in Wonderland picture, but some of them can be really scary. But I think the rodents, the domestic rodents, and I like to expand on that, is the mice and the house rats, along with the guinea pigs, rabbits, so the porcupines, the hamsters, the beavers. So these are the rodents which we should not fear. Other things is birds. So birds do not, their temperature is different and they do not cannot cause rabies. So birds, reptiles, cockroaches, butterflies, and snakes, and all these bites are actually cannot give us rabies. Now, a word on squirrel and bats, already it has been discussed. So in India, squirrels are not the cause of rabies, but some cases, one or two cases have been documented. So we have to be a little careful about that. And Indian bats, which are known as the fruit bat, are also not the cause for rabies. But if we talk about the American bats, the cave bats, they are very, very notorious and they cause rabies even if we inhale it. That is what we talked in the last time in vaccine someone. So these are the animals we should not fear.
Yes, thank you, Sharmila, madam. So now next question is importance of incubation period. Sanjay Marathi, sir.
I think the incubation period has saved so many lives because of the rabies, and we should be thankful for the long incubation period. The incubation period in the rabies is usually few weeks to few months, but the earliest it could be 4 to 5 days also. The longest incubation period reported so far in WHO is 7.8 years. So it has got a very long incubation period. The long incubation period has helped us in saving the child by giving an post-exposure prophylaxis and building adequate immunity against it. What are the risk factors for a short incubation period? If the individual has got multiple bites, and the bites are an important areas where the central nervous system is involved, the head, neck, face area, the upper extremity and genitalia. These are very important sites. Third, if the person is immunocompromised. Fourth, if the inadequate treatment has been taken, like in category 3, you do not give immunoglobulins and only you give anti-rabies vaccine. And if it has got a short incubation period, and the point is that once the virus has you can say entered into a nervous system, then no treatment can save the child. So incubation period, which is in few weeks to few months, we can effectively give our post-exposure prophylaxis and save almost 100% cases if we can give post-exposure prophylaxis at the right time, including monoclonal antibodies. So we have to be very careful. Kids, those who are likely to get multiple bites in an important area which I mentioned, immunocompromised hosts, ensure that you have given monoclonal antibodies to protect the individual for first 7 days, which is called as a window period, and at the simultaneously start post-exposure prophylaxis. So by 7 to 14th day, and adequate antibodies have been formed by the individual and will be protected subsequently from getting the rabies. So I think that is the most important part of this incubation period in this.
So I will just
Any
add,
point,
Dr. Ravindra, that children being short height and the dog being little as tall as the most common bites are on the head, face, neck, or on the fingers because they try to protect. Pulp of the fingers are highly innervated. So that's why children are at more risk. And remember, the commonest reason for a failure of post-exposure is not starting or whatever, is because of misclassification. When we come to classification, 90% of bites in children are actually class 3. So it's a rule that you have to use monoclonal antibody rather than an exception.
yes, 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 sir. So incubation period question is covered by both, sir. Why children are at more risk in India, Deepa? So part of that covered by Nitin Shah, sir, already.
Little bit louder, little bit louder.
Yes. Children actually having a short height, as we know, they are having a habit of playing with these dogs. They don't know the severity. They don't know what is the disease which is going to happen.
So while playing, they just do some naughtiness, and at that time they get a scratch or a bite. And many of the time they don't tell at home also that there is some bite. They hide it, or they forgot, or they may not be knowing the significance. So that is the one reason there is a high chance. Second, as already Nitin Shah sir and Sanjay sir told, because of short height, there is a high chance that they can get an injury on a face or on head, neck area or hands. And as we all know, that rabies virus generally traverses through the nerve and the head neck area. In case of a children, if affected, that is a dangerous site, and in them the rabies can become a significantly serious condition. So these are all the reasons because of which children are at a risk of rabies.
Yes, thank you, Deepa. So we will start with main actually crux of this program. What are the core components of modern rabies post-exposure prophylaxis? Sanjay Marathi, sir.
I think this is, you have very rightly said, the core components. And this is the most important thing which all of us must know by heart. I usually call it three important pillars of the effective management of rabies exposure. The first pillar is the wound toileting. The second is anti-rabies vaccine. And the third is either RIG or monoclonal antibodies. Every component is equally important, but I would like to stress on the wound toileting, which is extremely important. Unfortunately, not given the importance which we should give. And if you give effective wound toileting, we can take care of 50 to 90% of the viruses which has entered into the body. And I would like to say what the WHO position paper says, effective wound toileting and anti-rabies vaccine can save 90% of the cases. So it should be very clear and should be told to everyone. Like Sanjay Pakmade sir, the video was circulated. It should be circulated in the community. It should be circulated to everyone, the medical officers who are practicing in the periphery, because we might be knowing, but we cover only 10%, and maximum cases they reach in the periphery where there may not be an adequate knowledge. So these three important things. And should I go into the details of the wound care, or you will be discussing with somebody else?
Yes, we are discussing with others.
So
Now,
three important
what
pillars
is
we
the-
should always remember.
Yes, yes, sir. So they are the three murtis actually. Wound washing, proper wound washing for 15 minutes, that we will see later on, and vaccines and immunoglobulin. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Now, next question is immediate wound care protocol. Sharmila Kulkarni, madam.
Okay. So the immediate wound care protocol is actually, according to me, as important as even the vaccination or even the giving the monoclonal antibody. It carries a lot of importance, and on many occasions, that is a part of steps which are really neglected by all, because this is one aspect which has to be done by the parents at home or at the place where the patients first are taken. And therefore, we have to really stress on this factor that wound management and initial wound care is very, very important. So there are three main, as he said, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So there are three steps, and they are washing of the wounds with soap and water. That is the first stage, and for 15 minutes. The second is application of the virucidal agent, and the third is avoiding primary suturing. So besides the three steps, I think there is one more important step, and that is removing all the clothes before we start washing to find that one small hidden wound. Because so many times, as Dr. Nitin Shah sir said, wounds are on the, they may be on the scalp, they may be on the back of the head, on the back, on the genitals, and they are hidden. So we have to find this wound so that we can wash it properly. So even if we are very careful, we wash all wounds carefully, but we miss that one single wound, then we have really not done a good job, and the patient may still have complications and even death. So the first step has soap and water. Here we have to use running water, and that is very, very important. So if it's on the leg, it cannot be done in the basin, and we'll have to use a tap water, because it has to be copious fluid which is running. This running causes two things. One, mechanical cleansing. It cleans away the saliva and the virus which is sitting there. And by this, nearly 50 to 90% of the virus can be removed from the wound. That is very important. The second aspect is the soap. So we can use any Syndate soap. There is no reason to use any particular soap. In fact, Dettol soap should be avoided. And when we use the Syndate soap, the virus has a lipophilic coat. By using the soap, it will dissolve this envelope and the virus is removed or neutralized. So this way, we remove a lot of the viral load from the wound. That is the first aspect. What about the timing? Is 15 minutes a very arbitrary term? No, we have to set our watch for 15 minutes. Even if we wash our hands, even 1 to 2 minutes sound many times like 5 to 10 minutes. So set the clock and properly clean the wound with water and soap for 15 minutes. That is very important. And we have to stress this time to all the relatives. The second thing is the application of the virucidal agent. Here only two main virucidals need to be used. One is 70% alcohol or the povidone iodine. We should not be using anything else. Generally, patients come to us having applied a turmeric powder or some antiseptic cream, but that is no. So we have to use either these two only. And the third thing is avoid primary suturing. And that is very important, especially when the wound is large. There's a lot of bleeding, and the tendency of the first primary care personnel is to take sutures and stop the homeostasis. So here, if it is really urgent, then very few and very widely spaced sutures have to be taken. And we have to stress the point that before suturing, we have to infiltrate the wound with the monoclonal antibody or the immunoglobulin. So these are the points, the few very minor things, but if we look into it, I think nearly it blocks the viral from the site by nearly 90%. There's a 50% prevention of rabies and 50 to 90% reduction in the viral load. And probably we save the child.
Sharmila, I would like to add 2 points. Do not go by any Syndate soap. Any soap is equally effective. Santur soap might help you to look beautiful, which you already are. But any soap, whatever is available, can be used effectively. So we will not say use any Syndate soap. Secondly, as far as the suturing is concerned, as you very rightly said, infiltrate with the immunoglobulins, wait for a couple of hours, and then give loose suturing, which is called as primary suturing. The secondary suturing can be done after even couple of days, and there is no risk. So this information.
One point about the Dettol is Dettol gets
Dettol should not be used
inactivated.
because Dettol interferes with it. So we must wash out and then you should apply the antiseptic.
I think the question is, when do you do primary surgery? It is essentially to achieve hemostasis and not to achieve a cosmetic scar. The secondary suturing, which is usually delayed for 1 week, because the antibodies would pick after the vaccination by 1 week. That's the right time to do secondary suturing or thereafter in time.
So any soap, running water for 15 minutes, म्हणजे जेट स्प्रे किंवा नळाच्या खाली ठेवलं 15 मिनिटं. Virucidal like povidone, then alcohol. Okay, not daru, alcohol. That's जो market में 70% alcohol जो भी है. So that you have to apply, not to apply chili, chuna, तंबाखू, herbal paste किंवा काय म्यूपी ointment वगैरे. So next question is concurrent management, medical management in case of rabies, like antibiotics and tetanus prophylaxis. Yes, Dr. Deepa Joshi.
So as Sharmila madam has told, it is the wound management first priority, cleaning. After that, along with that RIG and immunization, equally important is the associated or a supportive treatment. The tetanus injection has to be given because many of the times the children who are like 18 months old, 4 to 5 year old, and at the 10 year, their due vaccination is expected. So that Tdap or TD vaccine has to be given. So tetanus is covered along with that. Similarly, antimicrobial as such is not needed for the rabies infection, but there is a chances of secondary bacterial infections. So to cover that, antimicrobial has to be given in the form of like amoxiclav or first generation cephalosporin. So that antibiotic should be given for 5 to 7 days.
So, thank you, Deepa. Now, next most important question to our boss, Dr. Nitin Shah, sir. So, what are the exposure categories according to WHO? Nitin Shah, sir.
So any wound which is bleeding, you can say an obvious bleed is category 3. And any mucosal exposure is also category 3. So that solves the problem. The 90%, as I said, wounds exposure in children are category 3. Now very minor scratches where you can't see the blood, but there is, you can see a mark, that is category 2. Now that's very rare. And category 1 is where there is exposure but there is no chance of transmission, is because either it was a leak on the intake skin or just brushing the animal against your clothes and thing like that. Now between category 1 and category 2, many times there is confusion. So if you can do a spirit swab test, so you apply spirit and if it burns, that means your nerve endings have been exposed, so it is at least category 2. And on the top, if you see the blood, it's category 3. But if it doesn't burn, then you know there has not been a breach in the skin, and then that becomes category 1. Category 2, category 3 need further treatment definitely and as soon as possible. Category 1 doesn't need treatment, but it tells you that you have a potential exposure. So that's the time to prime the person about pre-exposure prophylaxis, because pre-exposure prophylaxis, as we will discuss later, has its own advantage. That number one, you already primed, so you need only less number of doses on subsequent exposure. And if you are not immune compromised, you don't need monoclonal antibody, which are so expensive, as again we will discuss. So pre-exposure prophylaxis should go in a long way in category 1 bite.
All
The other thing I'll tell you that the drinking animal milk, drinking, I mean, all those, meat of someone, rabbit, dog, all that, if this cooked food, boiled milk, it doesn't lead to any exposure. But yes, licking an animal, because you may have exposure on your mucosa in the mouth, licking an animal who is rabid, like children have the habit of, kissing an animal who is rabid, then that is the reason. But otherwise, a lot of things that the rabid cow was there, that milk was taken, or the child drank that milk, whether it led to rabies and all that, or no, that is not an exposure.
But Nitin, immunocompromised host then leaks on the mucous membrane and any wild animal bite. They are all included in category 3.
Correct. So that's what I said. If you're immunocompetent, you don't need to worry.
Yes. So now next question is high risk anatomical sites, Deepa Doshi.
We have already discussed the high risk anatomical sites are mainly the head area, neck, face, and hands. As the children are short in a height, so many of the time dog bite at these areas, and from where there is a high chance it will go to the traversing through neurons, and there is a highest chance of getting a high risk rabies in this area.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for a very brief answer.
But I will just intervene to say that your treatment does not depend on whether you had a high risk exposure or no. It depends on whether you had class 2 or class 3 or no. Even if you have a non-high risk class 3, it is as much as treatment as a high risk class 3 and vice versa.
So, yes, sir, very rightly said. Now the types of vaccines and the types of vaccines, rabies vaccine and vaccines available in India and their brands.
Correct. So the what is available and allowed by the Supreme Court order is only the modern tissue culture vaccine. So you can have either the purified chick embryo vaccine, which all we have used in past as Rabipur, is now available from Bharat Biotech, again not with Rabipur but with different name. And you have Viro cell based vaccine, which are basically Virorab, which is no more available, and you have the Rabivex S from Serum Institute of India. You also have purified chick embryo vaccine from Padilla, and you have one more virocell based vaccine from the Institute of Immunologicals. So these are the 4 or 5 brands which are available. It would not matter which brand you use, because so far as they are licensed and they have undergone a rigorous phase 3 trial, you can use any of the vaccines. Some of them are 0.5 ml, some of them are 1 ml. As far as intramuscular schedule is concerned, it would not matter. But when it comes to intradermal, as we'll discuss, the dose is 0.1 ml, irrespective whether the original volume is 0.5 ml or 1 ml.
So, which is the best vaccine you will suggest, sir? In that
So
also.
these human deployed cell vaccines were available in the past. They were expensive and they were supposed to be very less reactogenic, but actually they are more reactogenic. They lead to more pain and more swelling. And because the cost and the side effect, now these HDCV vaccines have now been sort of not available and given up. So what we have is either a purified chick embryo vaccine or a purified viro cell vaccine.
Yes, sir. So, purified chick embryo cell and purified varicocele rabies vaccine. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, next question to Sanjay Marathe, sir, regarding current vaccine schedules.
We'll go one by one. First, I will go for the post-exposure prophylaxis, the vaccine schedule. And I will also include the NCDC and WHO just so that we should have a very clear idea. If we talk about the intramuscular, the NCDC and most of us were following this 5-day schedule, that is 0, 3, 7, 14 and day 28. So 5 doses are given with 0.5 or 1 ml, whatever the vaccine which you are using, to be given intramuscularly. And this was very widely used by all of us. Now the WHO, the CDC, the ACVIP, all they have recommended 4-dose schedule, which says 0, 3, 7 and fourth dose between 14 to 21, preferably can be given on day 14, and that is as good as a 5-dose schedule unless a patient is immunocompromised. The second schedule which has been recommended, that 2 doses of intramuscular vaccines at 2 different sites can be given on day 0, the third dose on day 7 and fourth dose on day 21. So this is the 4-day schedule which has also been recommended by WHO. Now, as far as the intradermal dose schedule is concerned, an updated Thai protocol, very easy to remember, 22202. That means 2 site intradermal 0.1 to be given at 2 different places on day 0, day 3, day 7. No vaccine on day 14 and again 2 doses on day 28. This is also recommended by NCDC, whereas WHO has shortened the duration. They say 2 site intradermal 0.1 can be given on 0, 3 and 7. But I would like to tell you, it has been recommended by WHO, but recently one paper was submitted by Dr. Agarwala, and in a study they have seen out of 100, 97 people have shown good seroconversion and the levels were above 0.5. Out of these 3, they have tried to investigate whether there was any immunodeficiency, but they could not find it. On day 28, additional dose was given. Out of these 3, 2 have seroconverted, 1 has not. So WHO has recommended this 2 site 037 with background of this study I have deliberately given. Those who are interested, I would like to add few more which WHO has also recommended. Like 22200, they have recommended 40201. That means on day 0, give 4 doses intradermal 4 sites, no vaccines on day 3, again 2 doses on day 7, no vaccine on 14 and 1 dose on 28. This is another schedule. One more schedule has been recommended by WHO, 44400. But once they have recommended 22200, there was no much difference in 4. They have given the additional entry. So these are the different schedules which has been recommended for post-exposure prophylaxis. As far as the pre-exposure prophylaxis, the NCDC, which they have not updated since 2019, they still continues to say give 0.5 or 1 ml intramuscular on day 0, day 7 and day 21. Whereas the WHO, CDC and ACVIP has recommended short duration, only 2 doses. You can give on day 0 intramuscular injection and day 7 intramuscular injection, and they said it is as good as 3 doses which has been recommended by NCDC. As far as the intradermal doses are concerned, we can give 3 doses the WHO recommends only 2 doses, 2 site on day 0 and 2 site intradermal on day 7. This is what has been recommended by WHO. In re-exposure, the rabies vaccine schedule is either it is intradermal or it is intramuscular. Those who have received post-exposure prophylaxis or a pre-exposure prophylaxis, 3 doses as per the NCDC, you can give just 2 doses on day 0 and day 3. Whether you are giving intramuscular, 1 dose each. If you are giving intradermal, 1 site, not 2 site. This is only we have to remember that 2 doses are sufficient as they have already been primed. We would like to have more antigenic support to them so that the memory cell will come into the picture. We'll have a secondary immune response. We'll get abundant number of antibodies ready, which will fight with the virus and protect the individual to the tune of 100%. These are the different schedules which have been given in post-exposure, pre-exposure, and re-exposure. Except for that 3 months gap, I'm sure you will be asking some question on that. If somebody has received post-exposure prophylaxis within the next 3 months or a pre-exposure prophylaxis as per the NCDC protocol, 3 doses, within the 3 months of this, no anti-rabies vaccine is required or no immunoglobulins are required because the antibody titers are adequate enough to protect an individual without any additional.
Yes, sir.
I just want to add that essentially the national program talks about 5 doses post-exposure, whereas WHO IP everyone says 4. Now, why the reason? Because they have believed that any rabies case that has happened as a breakthrough has never happened between day 40 to day 28. And in countries where vaccines are not easily available, see, we are blessed that we are manufacturers, so we have vaccines available. But in countries where vaccines are not available, 1 dose saved is at a national level a saving of the vaccine, not the cost but the vaccine, so it's available for many people, and that's the reason why this abbreviated schedule of 4 doses rather than 2 doses. But in an immunocompromised, you will give 5 doses because the 5th dose is equally important. On re-exposure, the WHO says if you're using intradermal, because people don't tend to come back, you can even give 4 sites on day 0 and that's it. So you can give either 2 sites on day 1, day 0 and day 3, or 4 sites on day 0. And re-exposure, as Dr. Marathi said, is valid till 3 months, and after that you need to have again a re-exposure. Now, how many years since your last post-exposure, pre-exposure, this re-exposure prophylaxis is valid? You know, immunocompetent is valid for life. Some people say 5 years back I took. Now, is it not too long a period? In past, it was believed that after 5 years, the memory cell might have not been there, and you again restart. But that's not true anymore. If you are immune compromised, every time it is not. There's nothing like re-exposure. It's always a repeat of post-exposure. And lastly, for re-exposure, you don't need to give immunoglobulin or monoclonal antibody. Unless someone is immunocompromised, then every exposure needs a monoclonal antibody. And in an immunocompromise, it's always better to do antibody titers if it's possible, even after post-exposure or pre-exposure, because they may not respond as well. And if you have not achieved titer of more than 0.5, then that fellow is not protected and he may need more doses.
Just a point to add what Dr. Nitin sir very rightly said. Those who are at a risk or a immunocompromised, they should go for the antibody levels, but they should not be routinely done in an immunocompetent person. Suppose I have taken pre-exposure prophylaxis and after 5 years, if I measure the antibody titers, it might be less than 0.5. But that does not mean that I am not protected. Once I have shown that I am protected with 0.5 and above, just have to take 2 doses if I am immunocompetent and not at the risk of getting frequent exposures like the medical workers or those who work in the forest department and all.
Generally, antibody titers are required for people who are at constant exposure, a lab worker in rabies vaccine division, lab worker with handling animals, and the veterinary. Veterinary doctors will do their titers every year. Moment it's below 0.5, they will take a dose extra.
And immunocompromised.
Or immunocompromised, so even upfront you should show that they have seroconverted.
Absolutely.
तर थोडक्यात UG स्टुडंट्स मध्ये जे PG स्टुडंट्स आणि नर्सिंग स्टाफ त्यांच्यासाठी 5 इंजेक्शन रिकमेंडेड आहे, पण WHO म्हणतं 4 पण चालेल, 0, 3, 7 आणि 14 आणि 28, राईट. त्यानंतर इंट्रामस्क्युलर इंट्राडर्मल द्यायचं असेल तर नितीन शाह सर म्हटले की एका दिवशी तुम्ही इंट्राडर्मल 4 साईटवर देऊ शकता तुम्ही 4 डोसेस, आणि किंवा मराठी सरांनी म्हटलंय की 0.1 ml 2 साईटवर 3 दिवस 0, 3 आणि 7 हे प्री एक्सपोजर प्रोफायलॅक्सिस पोस्ट एक्सपोजर प्रोफायलॅक्सिस साठी पहिल्यांदा. आणि जर ज्यांना वॅक्सिन ऑलरेडी मिळालेलं आहे त्यांना आपल्याला फक्त 2 डोसेस द्यायचे, एक आज आणि तिसऱ्या दिवशी. सो आय एम मेकिंग व्हेरी सिम्पल. आणि इम्युनो कॉम्प्रोमाइज पेशंटमध्ये तुम्हाला पूर्ण डोसेस द्यायचे, 5 आणि स्किप नाही करायचे. आणि सरांनी ऑलरेडी प्रोटेक्टिव्ह अँटीबॉडी लेवल्स कोणामध्ये मोजायचं, लॅब वर्कर्स, वेटरनरी वर्कर्स, डॉक्टर्स जे किंवा झुनोटिक्स सर्कल्स वगैरे किंवा जे वाईल्ड अॅनिमलशी खेळतात किंवा ज्यांच्या बरोबर राहतात त्यांच्यासाठी येते. So
I will
now
just add, Dr. Sonavne, that for beginners, undergraduates, recently passed postgraduates, etc., these schedules are very, very confusing. Even sometimes we have to read them again and again. It is better to take the printout of the WHO position paper where there's a table about post-exposure and re-exposure and keep it under your table. There is nothing wrong in referring every time, so that you don't make a mistake, because this is one disease which is fatal and there can be medical issue if you are not followed the protocol properly. So strongly I would suggest that don't feel shy, refer to a table either on your smartphone or as a printout in your table under your consulting table, and don't make a mistake.
So very good advice given by the Nitin Shah sir to use this Facebook, Instagram for this education purpose, Telegram and social media. And also if you get a time, you can use read books. Okay.
So I'll just give one hint, Dr. Sonamne, that all of us have smartphone with large memories. We keep on storing reels and videos and photograph which we never see. I have one folder medical under my photo gallery in which I keep things which are not commonly used, like these rabies, doses of some drug which you use once in a while, all that in the medical folder, so that you just open your phone, go to medical folder, take out what you want, and instantly you can, so you don't have to waste time on going online and thing like that.
Yes, thank you, sir. I will take your advice after finishing session. So next question is pre-exposure prophylaxis. म्हणजे काय म्हणतात, तहान लागल्यावर आपण विहीर खोदण्यापेक्षा म्हणजे विहीर खोदणे म्हणजे म्हणजे तहान लागायच्या अगोदरच विहीर खोदा. So what is the importance of pre-exposure prophylaxis?
Dr. Sonane really gives very nice similes I can understand. And as Dr. Nitin Shah just said, that we are blessed. We are blessed that we have so many vaccines and we are not very concerned. But this is where a pre-exposure prophylaxis plays a lot of role, important role, where vaccines are limited. And therefore, if we give a pre-exposure prophylaxis, that means even before a dog has bitten us, we take the vaccine. Right? So what is the principle behind this? That basically it primes the immune system so that whenever there is a future exposure, the antibody response is robust and it is fast. So that is pre-exposure prophylaxis. And the advantages is, as I said, whenever there is an exposure, we'll need less doses for the re-exposure. So the same on the doses, that is the first important advantage. Secondly, whenever we give pre-exposure, then there is no role of giving the immunoglobulin or even of giving the monoclonal. So again, with these two things in mind, we do a lot, the government body, or there is a lot of saving of money. And this is the benefit of a pre-exposure prophylaxis. Right now, doses already Dr. Sanjay Marathi has already told us, but because there are a lot of students here, I like to stress on it once more. For pre-exposure prophylaxis, there are two protocols. One is by the WHO and ACVIP and the CDC, where there are use of 2 doses, 0 and 7. I'm going to talk here only IM because to make it less confusing. So 2 doses on day 0 and day 7. But the other protocol by NCDC says that this is a government body and it says that 3 doses and 0, 7 and 21. I think I prefer the 3-dose schedule, but there may be different opinions here. Now, who should be taking the pre-exposure prophylaxis? So basically all the high-risk personnel. It can be lab personnel who are taking coming in contact with the rabies fluid or rabies patient. It can be veterinary doctors, the dog trainers, or the zookeepers, or anyone who are going to come in contact with. I say dogs because, as we know, 99% of rabies in India is because of dogs. Okay, so these are the people. Other people are the trekkers, the backpackers, the people who are going into the endemic areas more frequently, and even if we have pets in the house. So, if we consider all these people, now we Indians are always at high risk. I just had a patient yesterday. My neighbor was on a scooter and a street dog bit her. So, all of us, we see lots of stray dogs on the street. And I think all of us are at high risk because anytime we are walking and we maybe get bitten by a dog. So pre-exposure prophylaxis is actually there for all of us. If it is economically viable, I think we all of us should go and get the pre-exposure prophylaxis. In fact, the ACVIP also recommends the pre-exposure prophylaxis in children. So I think this is all about the pre-exposure prophylaxis.
Dr. Sonali, I will just want to make two remarks that children who are underprivileged, staying in slums or semi-slums, are constantly exposed to what are known as community pets. Now, these pets are not regulated; they don't have a number or a license. They are neither vaccinated, but they are playing around. And these children, because they are friendly, they are exposed constantly. So these are the children, unfortunately, who sort of can't afford or don't understand, but they are the ones who actually need it. That's why children in community where they're exposed to pets or so-called community pets should be offered pre-exposure routinely, because then you can avoid the monoclonal antibody, which again they will not be able to afford. The second thing I forgot to mention about that there is one vaccine known as Rabies or Rabies. Now, this Rabies is a recombinant antigen containing vaccine from Cadila, which is licensed only for above 18 years of age. It's a 3-dose, so it becomes very lucrative for people to use it, saying that okay, not even 5, not even 4, but only 3 doses. But do not use that in children because there are no studies in children. So if at all you're using, is only for adult use.
Dr. Nathan, I have a question on Rabies for you. That this vaccine is available since last 3 years. Why is it not coming into the market, or why is it not really promoted or getting promoted for all of us and for our patients?
So it is because it's not for pediatric use, they will never come and meet you and me.
But I don't even hear of the vaccine getting used in adult
Correct.
population.
So it is being used by some people, but only in adults. And so I've had some queries where people have referred saying some pediatrician give Rabies to a child, and now what do I do? So I say no, that's an invalid dose. Though it will work because absence of evidence is not the same as evidence of absence, which means there are no studies. That's why we don't use it. It doesn't mean that there are studies to prove it doesn't work in children. But you cannot take a chance, so you will ignore that dose and restart your schedule.
So all therapy studies are done in an immunocompetent persons.
Yes.
So there are no studies on the immunocompromised individuals and the age which he has all rightly said. And
99.9% exposure in immunocompetent children and adults.
Correct.
So that's where the choice of vaccine for adults is different and children is different.
And secondly, now they are coming with the 3-dose schedule for other vaccines also.
Yes.
Like an intradermal 3-dose schedule, which is going to come. So
Which is
whether
already
you-
there.
Correct. So whether
Yes.
this is we are using this or Rabies is one and the same.
Yeah. So the question is that 037 two size intradermal route has been studied in children. But Rabies is not studied in children. So as I'm saying, like suppose can you use zoster vaccine to prevent varicella in a child? My immunological analysis, yes, it will work. In fact, work better than 2 doses of varicella vaccine. But can you use it? The answer is no, because it's not been tested. Same rule apply that if you are not tested something, you will not use it because that's not even standard of care. It's not like off-label use. It's completely not allowed to be used.
Now, few case scenarios. Just शुभमला कुत्रा चावला. पहिले 2 डोस दिले. आमचं रेसिडेंटचं नाव आहे ते. पहिला डोस घेतला, दुसरा डोस तिसऱ्या दिवशी घेतला आणि त्याला 7व्या दिवशी यायचं होतं, पण त्याला घरी जावं लागलं. काय माहिती मुलगी बघायची होती, काय जे काय असेल कारण. तर तो डायरेक्ट 10व्या दिवशी आला आणि शर्मिला कुलकर्णी मॅडमकडे गेला. तर मॅडम तुम्ही काय कराल?
But to carry this jovial mood, I'll first of all fire him. He's a student, he's a resident, and he should know that rabies vaccines have to be taken on time. That is first. Secondly, this happens many times. Patients are really not.
Little louder.
Okay, so this is a scenario which we see day in and day out. Vaccines are not taken on time, but what is important is that we have to continue the vaccination, and there is no need to restart the vaccination. So if Shubham has taken 2 doses in the first 7 days, right?
Right.
So what the important point here is that we should try and complete 3 doses in the first 10 days. This gives a robust antibody response by the 10th. That is important. So I would just continue. There is a lapse in time, but we will just give him the 7-day dose on whatever day he has come. He has come on the 9th or the 10th day. So before 10 days is complete, he gets the 3rd vaccine and just continue from there. So don't restart. Just continue with the same schedule and complete the vaccination. Even if the patient comes after 5, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, just complete the vaccination.
Yes.
Dr. Sunamni, one more important point. Now that you have the undergraduates and nurses, do not give this vaccine in the gluteal region because that is an invalid dose. It will not work. It's a very important practical aspect that people, even pediatricians, make a mistake of giving the vaccine in intragluteal region. It is strictly no either on the thigh or on the deltoid region.
Actually, this is
Ravindra, the CDC says suppose there is a significant delay in the 2 doses or day 3 and day 7, what you can do, you continue the schedule. You can demonstrate the antibody titers. In case of a doubt, you can give additional doses also because the gap is little bit more like in few weeks and all that. But still you have to complete the schedule as it is. And in between you can get, because most of them by day 14 will develop 0.5 ml per 0.5 international units per ml. So that is one way. If you are not very sure whether there is a significant delay between the 2 or 3 doses, you can have this test done and additional doses can also be given. This is what the CDC says.
तर सरांनी आता जस्ट म्हटलं तर असली आहे की नकली डॉक्टर आहे हे जर एखाद्या लहान मुलाला ग्लुटेल मध्ये इंजेक्शन दिलं आहे तर त्याला नकली समजावं. म्हणजे आय ऑलवेज सी की तो जीपी बऱ्याच वेळा पेशंटला डिग्री माहित नसते, MBBS आहे काय जे काय आहे. तर ऑलवेज आय चेक की ग्लुटेल दिलंय तर मग हा इज नॉट द ओरिजिनल पीडियाट्रिशियन और व्हॉट. सो सेकंड केस सिनारिओ फॉर दीपा. तर याच्यामध्ये रामू हा ऍक्च्युली कुत्र चावला आणि 1 महिन्यानंतर आला आणि आला तो दीपा मॅडम कडे आला. तर काय करणार त्या?
So this child has come very late. As we all know, the vaccine has to be started as early as possible. That is a dictum. But now the child has come at 1 month. So don't think, should I give vaccine or not? The vaccine has to be given although the child come late. Because the reason behind it, the incubation period of the rabies. As we all know, it is as early as like 5 to 6 days to many years, like 6 to 7 years. Although the average incubation period is 2 to 3 months, we always say, although the child come late, like weeks, months, years, try to give vaccine and complete the schedule of the vaccine.
Yes. So next
Dr.
question.
Deepa, sir, one question.
Yes.
What we should ask first, can you trace the dog? If the dog is alive even after 1 month, this was not a dog bite. Then you can use this opportunity and give a pre-exposure prophylaxis.
Okay.
If it's a street dog, then we cannot trace that. But if like a neighbor's dog, which is very commonly seen,
Right.
so you can avoid giving immunoglobulins and all that, which is normally recommended.
So what are the site of injection, site of choice for rabies injection? Just short.
We have already discussed this, not to be given in the gluteal region. That is a clear-cut message in the children. But the deltoid region, anterolateral aspect of the thigh are the regions which we take for the intramuscular injection. And for the intradermal, there are various sites like deltoid, anterolateral aspect of thigh, lower abdomen, suprascapular area. These are used for intradermal.
नितीन शाह सरांसाठी प्रश्न की आमच्याकडे घरी काम करणारा बिहारचा माणूस बिहारला गेला. तो 13 महिन्यांनी आला आणि ते सांगितलं की कुत्रं चावलं होतं. तर 13 महिन्यानंतर वॅक्सिन द्यायला पाहिजे कसं?
So you should offer vaccine to any potential exposure in the past. There is no limit when it happened, but generally it is believed that the benefit beyond 1 year is very doubtful. So up to 1 year of the exposure, I would certainly give vaccine actively. Beyond 1 year, if the parents want it, then probably I will give it. Because though there are incubation period known of 2 years and 3 years and 4 years, but I feel many of them actually had another re-exposure which they have missed, and they blame it to the previous exposure. But when in doubt, so this is one disease where when in doubt, give the vaccine.
Yes.
Suppose there is a stage one category one exposure, the parents are extremely worried. नहीं नहीं डॉक्टर उसको कुछ हुआ रहेगा आप बोलते नहीं तो दे दो give it. There's no harm in giving vaccine. It's one of the most safe vaccine. So when in doubt, give the vaccine. Question will come whether you will give monoclonal antibody. So giving monoclonal antibody at 1 year and 2 years after the last exposure has no meaning at all, according to me. So I would not give it up to 1 year, maybe yes, but after beyond 1 year, no. And then when do you give it? Where do you give it? Where was the lesion? Now parents also may not remember where was the exposure. So these are all practical issues. But if someone is demanding, then give the vaccine.
So next question to Nitin Shah sir only. Suppose neonate म्हणजे लहान बाळाला नवजात शिशूला समजा चुकून चावलं सर तर किंवा प्रेग्नंट वुमनला किंवा ब्रेस्ट फिडिंग मदरला किंवा इन्फंटला चावला तर आपण देणार का सर वॅक्सिन?
There is no exception to give rabies vaccine, irrespective of age, whether mother is feeding, whether mother is pregnant. This is one vaccine which is to be given even during pregnancy, whichever trimester, because the life of the mother is very important. And a newborn as old as just 1 day, if there's an exposure, can be given the vaccine, it will work. So there is no contraindication to giving vaccine because of pregnancy, breastfeeding, or the age of the child.
तर काही केस सिनारिओ जसं पर्सन कंझ्युम हे रिपीट होतंय पण पुन्हा तरी पर्सन कंझ्युम मिल्क ऑफ रॅबिड काऊ.
No issues, no need to give vaccine.
आणि समजा बोकड समजा ते मेलं म्हणजे त्याला कुत्रं चावलं आणि ते खाल्लं गेलं सर मटन ज्याला म्हणतो आपण किंवा
if it's cooked, no issues.
No issues.
And no one will eat uncooked meat, right? It's only the licking the animal. So there's an exposure from mouth to mouth is the one which will need to be prevented, like a mucosal exposure.
Right.
We have to be very careful about the person who is handling the flesh of this suspected rabid animal. If he gets a wound or something, then you have to treat it according to the category. Not the person who is consuming it, but the person who is handling the meat, the flesh.
Yes, मराठे सरांना अनिमल बाईट्स इन इम्युनोकॉम्प्रोमाइज किंवा HIV किंवा JRA चे पेशंट असतात त्यांना स्टिरॉइड चालू असतात, नेफ्रोटिक सिंड्रोमच्या पेशंटला स्टिरॉइड चालू असतात, दे आर ऑल इम्युनोकॉम्प्रोमाइज किंवा इम्युनोडेफिशियन्सी डिसऑर्डर्स असतात. तर अशा याच्यामध्ये काय वेगळं इतर इम्युनोकॉम्पिटंट इंडिव्हिज्युअल्स पेक्षा वेगळं काय आहे सर?
There are two important things which we should always remember. Whether HIV or any other situations which you have rightly said, the person who is on some immunosuppressive drugs or on a chemotherapy or a steroid very, very long period of time for more than 2 milligram per kilogram, they are all immunocompromised. And in this, two things we should always remember. Category 2 bite is considered as category 3. So treat it as category 3. Go for 5-dose schedule and not the 4-dose schedule, because we do not want to take any chance. Thirdly, the WHO has recently said an HIV person who is well controlled and who has received heart treatment and all that, whose CDC count is above 25% or 200 cells per cubic millimeter as per the age, they are not considered as immunocompromised and they respond same as immunocompetent. But unnecessarily doing all these things, it is better to consider that individual as an immunocompromised and little overtreated. Secondly, even if these patients have received pre-exposure prophylaxis and comes again with with some dog bite or animal bite, they should be given rabies immunoglobulins as well as a full course of post-exposure prophylaxis. We cannot say 2 doses or something what we do it in an immunocompetent person. So I think these are the most important points which you should always remember as far as the immunocompromised individual is.
And one point here I would like to add, Dr. Sanjay, is that
Yeah.
all this vaccination in immunocompromised should be given IM. There is no role of ID, no role of intradermal. So give
But
IM.
I would like to add to this because I will tell you why. I did not take up this issue because there are so many other people. See, if you go with the NCDC recommendations, it says a person who is immunocompromised or on a chloroquine or on hydroxychloroquine should not be given intradermal vaccination because the antibody titers are little less than the expected. But if you read the position paper of WHO 2018 and expert committee opinion on by WHO, it has very clearly said you can give intradermal doses in an immunocompromised patients like HIV. They also respond the same way as an immunocompetent with the full course. And even if the patient is on chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine, do not bother because relatively antibodies are less, but they are much above the 0.5 ml which is required. So this controversy I did not bring it because again they will say NCDC is not updated 2019. The WHO, the recently the expert committee says you can give. So better we said,
I think we should listen to the NCDC.
yeah,
One
because
more point.
NCDC is now 6 years old, which they have not updated anything. It's a very old recommendation.
And another point, there are a lot of studies which are showing that after 14 days, there's a sudden drop in the antibody titers. And therefore, it is either in this immunocompromise, if possible and economically feasible, then we should do the anti-rabies antibody titers on day 14 and day 28. And if that cannot be done, give an additional dose on day 90.
Otherwise, also in immunocompromise, we give additional. We do not give 3 doses. We always go for 5 doses. 5 doses.
Yeah.
So we are running short of time. So previous history of severe adverse reaction to chick embryo cell vaccine. So त्याला काय करणार मराठीत second time.
If you are much worried, you can change the brand, but you cannot stop giving the anti-rabies, which is where you're going to protect an individual to the where the fatality is 100%. You may change the brand, and as the dictum says, whether it is rabies vaccine or any other vaccine, you should be fully prepared to manage the anaphylaxis in your hospital with all drugs, with oxygen, and you must know how to manage anaphylaxis.
Okay. Next question to Nitin Shah sir. What about switching over from intramuscular to ID or vice versa during post-exposure prophylaxis? Nitin Shah sir.
So there are beautiful studies done by the group which works on rabies, essentially from the south. They did the study of looking at the antibody titers above 0.5, which is protective for the neutralizing antibody on day 14. Uh, in those who had taken intradermal, switched to intramuscular because they now want to go to private setup, or those who had taken intramuscular cannot afford anymore, want to switch to intradermal in public hospitals. So that both type of patients were taken, and there were significant number, I think almost 50-60 patients on each arm, and they studied the antibody titers on day 14 in either of switch, whether intramuscular, intradermal or vice versa. 100% of them develop antibody titers above 0.5. So the conclusion of the paper, based on this, even WHO says that you can interchange from intradermal to intramuscular, vice versa, and just complete the number of doses which are remaining. All right. So you don't have to restart. Now, not only that, changing the brand, like suppose someone might have used a brand which is available in government today and goes to private hospital where the brand is different. So especially brand between two Viro same will not matter, but chick embryo to Viro and Viro to chick embryo, will it make a difference? So they did an upfront study in volunteers. That was, of course, pre-exposure prophylaxis, where they actually gave one brand for the first dose and the second brand for the second dose, and they looked at the antibody titer. So it did not matter whether they switch from chick embryo to Virorab or Virorab to chick embryo. So the answer to your question is that you can switch from intradermal to intramuscular and vice versa, and just complete the remaining doses, and you can even switch between two brands.
Yes, संजय मराठे सरांसाठी 3 क्वेश्चन आहे. बॅट एक्सपोजर इन इंडिया, बॅट म्हणजे वटवाघूळ, नॉट आपली क्रिकेटची बॅट. बॅट एक्सपोजर इन इंडिया, बॅट एक्सपोजर ग्लोबली अँड म्युकोझल कॉन्टॅक्ट, असे 3 वेगवेगळे क्वेश्चन शॉर्ट
I
मध्ये.
will start the other way. I will first take the mucosal contacts.
Okay.
As it has rightly said in the beginning, the exposure, the leaks on the mucous membrane is considered as category 3. Normally on the skin, we infiltrate the monoclonal antibodies or RIG in and around the wound. In a mucosal exposure, it is not possible. So what you can do, you can calculate the dose of monoclonal antibodies or the RIG as per the weight of the individual, then dilute it, and then you should do the rinsing. That means you should use this solution and go on infiltrating. You can just, you can say, instill over the mucous membrane. If it is in the oral cavity, ask them to gargle or gargle with the same and throw it. Suppose it is in the conjunctiva or somewhere, then you can use this diluted monoclonal antibodies or RIG and go on instilling slowly over the period till you finish the total dose. This is how you can take care of the mucous membrane exposure, and this is category 3. Do not forget that start the anti-rabies vaccine on the day 0 and complete the schedule as category 3. This is basically about the mucous membrane exposure. Then we come to bat. The bats in India, they have not shown till today that they are transmitting rabies. So if you go through the Indian literature, the bat exposure is not included for protection with anti-rabies vaccine or monoclonal antibodies. But the Western world, especially Americans, they are so much worried that their all cases of deaths because of the rabies is through the bat exposure. So bat exposure in the Western world, which is basically through the hematophagous bat or the vampire bat or what we call as the silver wing bats, even the contact with the bat, if there is no definite history of injury or mark, still it is considered as category 3. And this is one indication. If you cannot see where there is a contact, you can give monoclonal antibodies or rabies immunoglobulins intramuscularly with the hope that the antibodies might help in initial window period and start treating it as category 3. One of the scenario which has been discussed in CDC, in a room, if there is an elderly person or a child who is less than 5 years who cannot tell you exactly, and if you see a bat inside the room, either demonstrate that there is no rabies virus in that bat or treat this as category 3 and treat. So they are so worried about this transmission and they are very aggressively treating this bat exposure. Fortunately, in India, it has not been indicated.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, next question is intramuscular versus intradermal, advantage, disadvantage, or both are equal?
So this
Nitish,
intradermal route was brought in from mainly studied done in Thailand, where in the public health, the full dose intramuscular vaccines were not easily available and were not cost effective. So the studies were done whether because the skin is very rich in Langerhans cell, which are very immunogenic and antigen presenting cell. So whether can you give intradermal, because we already knew in past that we could use intradermal BCG, you could use intradermal hepatitis B and so on and so forth. So the study showed that intradermal route works as good as intramuscular and saves on the number on the volume. Like you give 0.1 ml, suppose you give two only three doses as per the WHO, you are going totally only 0.6 ml. Whereas you give 4 doses of intramuscular, it will be like 2 ml or 4 ml depending upon which vaccine you are using. So it's a lot of cost saving. But the only thing is intradermal needs experience of giving intradermal because it should not go subcutaneous. Number 2, you should have enough number of patients because okay, you give 0.1 ml from a 1 ml vaccine to a child, so give two sides 0.1 0.1. What will you do with the remaining 0.8 ml if there is no second patient waiting? You can't keep the vaccine once it's opened up. So in a center where you are having a lot of patients in a day, it makes sense. Initially, intradermal route was not allowed in private practice. Today, it is allowed in private practice, provided it makes sense for you that you have at least 3 or 4 patients at a time in your clinic who need this type of rabies prophylaxis. Then you will intradermal route. But otherwise, I think in general, in my practice, in anyone's practice, people will only use intramuscular route. Both are immunogenic, both are excellent even in immunocompromised, as Dr. Marathi said. Only difference is that you will need the 5 dose instead of 4 dose when you're using immunocompromised. So you can, but remember, I mean, I don't know to scarce expression, but there are a lot of rabies deaths which have recently been published suddenly from different parts of the country, including from Kerala and all. People have taken vaccine. Some have taken intramuscular. Maybe they did not take the monoclonal antibody. Some had taken intradermal route. Maybe it was not given properly. So if you are using intradermal, unless you've given at least 1,000 Mantoux tests in your life, or another 100 BCG in your life,
Yes,
don't venture into giving intradermal rabies vaccine because that's a make and break situation.
absolutely.
So in government intradermal, in private intramuscular, very simple message. Okay.
And these
So
vaccines
now
are not that expensive. I mean, because the drug price control, these vaccines are really not that expensive that no one can afford 4 doses.
about the protective antibody level, already madam have mentioned, just in short. Sharmila, please come on.
Yeah, so in one live, the protective antibody level is 0.5 IU per ml, and generally it is achieved by 7 to 14 days. So I think one line.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Nitin Shah sir or Sanjay Marathe sir, both can answer this. Why these vaccines fail?
So
Vaccine
the
मिळाले-
commonest reason of a breakthrough rabies in spite of so-called vaccination program can be multiple. Number one, delay in starting the vaccine. Number two, misclassification class 3 as class 2 and not giving rabies immunoglobulin or monoclonal antibody. Number three, missing the doses. Number four, giving intra in the gluteal region instead of giving in the deltoid region. Number five, giving vaccine intradermal, which is not given properly. And number six, if you are immunocompromised. So beyond, or number seven, giving monoclonal antibody or rabies immunoglobulin beyond 7 days after starting the first vaccine. Like you can give, you are ideally supposed to give the monoclonal antibody on day one along with the vaccine. If it's not given on day one, you can give up to day 7. After day 7, the vaccine is going to take over because the antibodies will be produced in a large number of patients. That time now giving monoclonal antibody has no meaning. It can actually interfere. So these are the 5 or 6 reasons why I think vaccination can fail.
Yes, sir. म्हणजे थोडक्यात काय आहे की इम्युनोग्लोबुलिन जे आहे ते आपल्याला पॅसिव्ह इम्युनिटी क्रिएट करतात. जसं मॅटर्नल अँटीबॉडीजची इन्फंटमध्ये अँटीबॉडीज असतात आणि त्यानंतर त्यांना स्वतःच्या अँटीबॉडीज डेव्हलप कराव्या लागतात. जर समजा इम्युनोग्लोबुलिन वगैरे मिळालेलं नसेल आणि जास्त बाईट्स असतील तर त्याला वॅक्सिन देऊन पण फायदा होणार नाही, की वॅक्सिनच्या प्रोटेक्टिव्ह अँटीबॉडी डेव्हलप व्हायला 7 ते 14 दिवस लागतात. त्यामुळे RIG आणि वॅक्सिन हे लगेच दिलं गेलं पाहिजे आणि वॅक्सिन दिल्यानंतर RIG हे जर तेव्हा दिलं नसेल तर 7 दिवसाच्या आतच दिलं पाहिजे, नंतर त्याचा फायदा होत नाही. आणि किंवा वॅक्सिनचं बरोबर इन्स्टॉलेशन, देर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स टू फेल्युअर ऑफ वॅक्सिन. नाऊ मेन इज टाइप्स ऑफ RIG. नाऊ वी आर गोइंग टू थर्ड कंपोनंट. आपण ब्रह्मा विष्णू बघितला, आता महेश किंवा जॉनी जनार्दन किंवा त्रिमूर्ती. तो नितीन शाह सर, टाइप्स ऑफ RIG व्हेरी इम्पॉर्टंट. रेबीज इम्युनोग्लोबुलिन खूप महत्वाचं आहे.
Correct. So local therapy is either by immunoglobulin or monoclonal antibody. Immunoglobulin, there are two types. One is equine, which is made in by hyperimmunizing horses. That was product which was used in past. Today, no one uses that because of the chance of anaphylaxis, which is though rare but is known. The second was the human rabies immunoglobulin, which was taken from volunteers who were given rabies vaccine, and immunoglobulin was prepared from their plasma. The human HRIG was much safer because there was no chance of anaphylaxis being a human product, and only thing, it was expensive, much more expensive than the equine immunoglobulin. The equine immunoglobulin dose was 40 units per kg. The HRIG human immunoglobulin was 20 units per kg. Now both are not easily available, and in fact that was one of the main reasons why there was a problem of rabies deaths in our country, because one, not available, second, because of the expensive the cost involved. That's why the monoclonal antibodies have come in a big way, and you have two different monoclonal antibodies. One is a single monoclonal antibody from Serum Institute of India, and one is Rabies Shield, and there is a twin monoclonal antibody from Zydus, which is known as TwinRab. So essentially, I think now 99% of the time you are using monoclonal antibody, and again the dose is 3.3 units per kg if it is the single monoclonal antibody of serum, or 40 units per kg if that's a double antibody TwinRab from the Zydus. So this is in essence the different types of antibody that are available. The question is, Do not wait. Whatever is available, please use it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So, तीन आहेत स्टुडंट फॉर युजी स्टुडंट ह्युमन रेबीज इम्युनोग्लोबुलिन इक्वाइन म्हणजे घोड्यापासून बनवलेलं इक्वाइन रेबीज इम्युनोग्लोबुलिन अँड थर्ड देअर मोनोक्लोनल अँटीबॉडीज त्याच्यामध्ये रॅबिशिल्ड आणि ट्विन रॅप हे दोघं आलेले आहेत. तर आता आपण जनरली रॅबिशिल्ड किंवा ट्विन रॅप हे आपण पॅसिव्ह इम्युनिटी क्रिएट करण्याकरता बघतो. आतापर्यंत वॅक्सिन बघितले, आपण हे आता रॅबीज इम्युनोग्लोबुलिन बद्दल बघतोय. सो मोनोक्लोनल अँटीबॉडीज हे तुम्ही लक्षात ठेवा. सो हाऊ टू what are the administration guidelines of this rabies immunoglobulin or monoclonal antibody? Marathi sir.
Yes, I will continue where Dr. Nitin has left with the 4 options open to us. And Dr. Sharmila has already told us how it should be done. Now, the very important thing, first remove the clothes, identify the number of wounds, calculate them, small or the big one, all. That is one. You should never touch the wound before wearing the gloves. That is very important. Whosoever is giving immunoglobulin must wear the gloves before giving the immunoglobulin. Now, as the 4 options are available, and rightly said, human rabies immunoglobulins or the ERIG may be available in a medical setup or government hospitals, not easily available. HRIG is very costly. Now, what is the option available to us is monoclonal antibody, whether you use Rabies shield or the human monoclonal antibody or cocktail equine monoclonal antibody by B. So, the twin wrap. All 4 are, you should not wait which is superior, and whatever is available should be used, because within the time frame, if you give the immunoglobulins, you are going to protect an individual to the tune of 100%. Now, once you have decided the number of wounds, then you calculate the dose. Calculate the dose as per what Dr. Nitin Shah sir has already said. For example, suppose I am using human monoclonal antibodies. The dose is 3.3 international units per kg. I have calculated the dose might be say 100 international units, which is 2.5 ml. Now I have to infiltrate this 2.5 ml, but the number of wounds are 5. So I cannot infiltrate 2.5 into so many. So I can dilute this 2.5 ml n number of times with the normal saline, so that I can infiltrate every wound adequately. How you should infiltrate? We should circulate that video. We should infiltrate this diluted one in and around the wound. And how you should confirm that you are doing it? Some amount of serous like fluid will come out of the wound. That means you are infiltrating it properly. Ensure that you have given it this in all the wounds possible. And suppose another thing, suppose the tip of the finger or sometimes the tip of the nose, where it is practically impossible to give that much amount. So WHO says anatomically possible maximum monoclonal antibodies or IRIG should be infiltrated. In a case in your OPD, if this additional say 0.5 or 0.7 ml is still remaining, do not give it intramuscularly away from the wound. What normally I do it in the nearby area, because you might miss couple of small injuries which you cannot see with your naked eye. Just infiltrate around. Suppose I am giving it on the tip of the finger, I cannot give more than that because of the compression syndrome fear. I just go little below and infiltrate this remaining, so that in case I have missed a small abrasion or something and I cannot see with the naked eye, I am using this additional monoclonal antibody in the nearby area rather than giving it in the intramuscular on the thigh, which is far away from the individual. So I think this is what you should always remember. And then what Sharmila has very rightly said, wait for 3 to 4 hours, then you can give the suturing, which if it is required to control the bleeding, otherwise you can just give the dressing and leave it. I think these are the points for the monoclonal.
I will just want to add, Dr. Ravindra, that number one, you don't have to inject the full dose. If there's a small wound, just take as much. You can use the remaining for the second or the third patient. If there are too many, there is no upper limit to dilution. Suppose there are 20 wounds, you may dilute 10 times, 15 times, 20 times. And third and most important, there is no upper age weight limit. Suppose a 100 kilo person is there, 3.3 units means 330 units. If it's 150, you will need 450. Like that, there is no upper limit for the total dose calculated. But again, I remind, do not give the full dose compulsorily. It's only the maximum dose, it's not the minimum dose.
Yes,
That 1500 and 3000 international units for HRIG and ERIG has been removed by WHO.
Yes.
So if you see the olden literature, they will say maximum for HRIG is 1500 international units. But it is no more recommended by WHO after 2018.
Yeah.
So there is no upper limit for HRIG or ERIG also.
And just one more point, that the single monoclonal antibody from serum is 30% less expensive than the double monoclonal antibody from Zydus, though there is no difference in the effectiveness. So you can use any which is available, but cost is an issue. Then the serum product is cheaper than the Zydus product.
So we are already discussed RIG doses also, but still we will revive with Dr. Deepa Joshi.
Just briefly again telling the immunoglobulin which are available, human and equine. In the human, it is 20 international unit per kg is the dose. And in the equine, it is 40 international unit per kg. We are using human immunoglobulin as far as possible. And in case of a monoclonal antibodies, we have a Rabies shield and twin wrap. In a Rabies shield, it is 3.33 international unit per kg, which is the dose. And in a twin wrap, which is a combination of two antibodies, we use it in a dose of 40 international unit per kg.
Now next question for Sharmila Kulkarni madam. Why RIG should not be given intramuscularly?
So let's make this simple. Basically, immunoglobulins are used to neutralize the virus. And the virus is sitting there dormant at the site of the bite. So the virus presence is there. Virus is not there in the distant muscle where we may want to inject iron. That is the first reason. So you have to infiltrate locally. Second reason is if I give IM, what happens is that it may actually make the vaccine effectiveness, it may decrease or suppress the vaccine effectiveness. That is the second point. And the third very a common sense point is that suppose I think I have to give half dose IM and half dose I have to infiltrate, then somewhere in my mind while I'm infiltrating, there is a thing that, oh, some dose I have to keep. And by doing that, we may inadequately infiltrate the local bite site, and that can be really very, very dangerous. And there is therefore no need to give any IM doses. All the immunoglobulin should be infiltrated at the site of the wound.
Just one
Next question.
one word, Dr. Sonane sir, that if you see the product instead of Rabies shield, even today it says that the remaining volume should be given intramuscularly. I think we have fought with the company so many times that they need to update this, because there is no one in the world who recommends to give the remaining volume intramuscularly. They have still not done it. I don't know if the recent batches have the product insert changed, but do not go by the product insert in this matter. Do not give any remaining volume intramuscularly.
So all RIG we have to give locally. Right. Now next question to Nitin Shah sir. Is skin testing necessary before giving any RIG and specifically equine rabies immunoglobulin?
So both the monoclonal antibody and the human RIG does not need any testing. Even for the ERIG, the equine, skin testing was never required. What was required was to be prepared for anaphylaxis. So you will infiltrate, and if anything happens, then you treat the child, because the risk of anaphylaxis was very, very rare even with the ERIG. So absolutely no skin testing for any of these four products. But as I said, you don't use now ERIG or HRIG at all. Use monoclonal antibody.
So role of RIG in immunocompromised patients.
So whether RIG or monoclonal antibody, they are required for immunocompetent person for class 3 bite. They are required for class 3 bite immunocompromised as well, definitely. For re-exposure, for someone who's taken a past post-exposure or a pre-exposure, for immunocompetent, you don't need the local monoclonal antibody, but for immunocompromised, for every exposure, you need a local monoclonal antibody, because you cannot rely on the vaccine that they will start working on day 7 or day 10. So you always treat them with repeat monoclonal antibody.
Okay, so covered this. Shortcomings of this HRIG and ERIG in short.
We already mentioned that one, they're not easily available because they are produced from either equine or human sources. Number two, they're expensive. And now with the advent of monoclonal antibody being easily available and being cost effective, they have almost replaced both the ERIG and HRIG.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so what are the advantage of monoclonal antibodies, Sanjay Marathe, sir?
The distinct advantages, as I rightly said before also, that it's the human rabies immunoglobulins or the equine rabies immunoglobulins that are prepared from the sera. So it will have always the limitations. Then the cost is very high. Then batch to batch potency may not be the same. As against that, the monoclonal antibodies, whether it is human or equine cocktail, is prepared by the recombinant technique. So there is no risk. Batch to batch potency is same. Then n number of amount of monoclonal antibodies can be produced and can be sent. It does not require any special. You can maintain it at 2 to 8 degrees. As far as the cost is concerned, it is, I think, at 1/6 of the cost of HRIG. Then there is no risk of anaphylaxis. Now we have started giving this monoclonal antibodies in our OPDs also. When we used to give HRIG, usually we used to shift this patient in an PICU setup, give the HRIG, observe the baby for a longer period of time for the fear of anaphylaxis. No such fear in our mind. So all the pediatricians have started use of human monoclonal, any monoclonal antibodies very safely in our OPDs also. Once we will have no fear and we start using these monoclonal antibodies, I think the category 3 bites are being managed better than what we used to do it because of the limitations of HRIG and ERIG. So there are so many advantages. Like in HRIG, there was the slightest fear of transmission of some blood-related infections if it is not screened properly. There is no such risk with the monoclonal antibody. So the take-home message is use without any fear, freely whenever you feel that category 3 bite in your OPD, category 2 in an immunocompromised, and category 3. I don't think there is any dispute that these are very good. As far as the effectiveness is concerned, it is as good as HRIG. So use freely. There is no fear.
Sir, few words about the twin wrap, Nitin Shah, sir.
So it's actually not a pure human, it's a murine antibody, but of course that doesn't make it any lesser. It's as safe. Number two, the sites at which this monoclonal antibody bind to the virus genome are different. So like the monoclonal antibody from serum essentially binds to the site 3 and to some extent to site 3A, whereas the twin monoclonal antibody binds not only to site 3 but also site 2. Now these all are more theoretical than practical. For a practical purpose, both are equally good. The only thing is that at the end of the first use of say monoclonal antibody given for class 3 bite, if you look at the anti-drug, that is anti-monoclonal antibody production, it is slightly higher with Twinrab than with the Rebishil. Now, that may not matter because you don't use it again for an immunocompetent person ever. It's used only for the first time. But for immunocompromised, that may matter because you are going to use it every exposure. So if you have more anti-drug antibody, maybe the subsequent efficacy of that antibody may become little lesser. Of course, this is all theoretical. So practically, both antibodies are the same. You can use any. As I said before, the monoclonal antibody from serum is 30-40% cheaper than the monoclonal antibody from Zydus.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Again, one question, animal observation protocol. म्हणजे
Correct.
10 दिवस बघायला पाहिजे, 10 दिवस बघून मग मेल्यानंतर वॅक्सिन चालू करायला पाहिजे किंवा त्याच्या अगोदरच चालू करायला पाहिजे किंवा त्याला ऑलरेडी सगळे वॅक्सिन दिले गेले आहेत पेट अॅनिमलला आणि तरी आपल्याला वॅक्सिन द्यायचंय का तो चावल्यावर तर सो मेनी क्वेश्चन प्लीज आन्सर.
So, in past we used to say that you observe the animal. Now we don't observe the animal. You start the vaccination and the treatment. Now you give day 0, D37, day 0, day 3. Now, in past we used to say on day 7, if the animal alive, you postpone the third dose, keep on postponing till day 21 and then give day 21 and convert that into a pre-exposure. Now still you are giving 3 doses. Instead, now you are post-exposure, which itself is 4 doses. So I think all this reason for observing animal and all has no meaning at all. You just start and complete the schedule. If it is pre-exposure given already, then give 2 doses. If no given, then give 4 doses and finish it off. This is where you really don't have to worry. And the observing was only for the dogs and not for other animals. Second, observing was only for pet animals, not for wild animals.
Right.
Even a community animal, like there's one a black dog coming in your building every day and he is bitten, that black dog may be another black dog next day, so practically nothing like observing the dog. Exposure, just give the appropriate treatment.
ओके. आणि सर म्हणजे त्यांनी वॅक्सिन जरी घेतले असतील पूर्ण वॅक्सिन घेतले असतील चांगल्या क्वालिटीचे वॅक्सिन घेतले असतील आणि ग्रेड 2 बाईट आहे तर याला मुलाला चावलेला तर त्याला आपल्याला वॅक्सिन द्यायचंच आहे का?
So you mean to say vaccinated pet?
Vaccinate pet, yes sir.
Okay, so the animal vaccines are not 100% effective, unlike human. They are just 60% effective. So immunized pet, it's not a guarantee that the pet has actually developed antibody. Number two, all pet exposure has to be treated the same as any wild exposure. Yeah, only thing is, if you have a dog at home and the dog has never gone out of a house in last say 1 month, or the dog has gone out but always under your own supervision where there was no mixing or exposure of that dog to any other dog or other any animal, then you know that dog cannot be rabid. In such case, if it's a pet animal, you can just observe if the dog is alive for 10 days, you need not do anything. But if you are not sure, you are sending with your servant or the dog is going out of the house unobserved, then there could be exposure of that dog to some other animal. In such case, there's nothing like observing. You have to take the vaccine and the monoclonal antibody depending upon the class of the exposure.
Thank you, sir. Now, Sharmila Kulkarni madam, we are again revising monoclonal antibody versus traditional RIG, which is already discussed in some point.
I think we have covered this point, but I like to say in one sentence only, unlimited availability, safe and synthetic, lower volume that is required in monoclonal antibiotics, cheaper, and most important, that standardized quantities. And that 5 things go in favor, 100% in favor of monoclonal antibodies. And only one sentence for the immunoglobulins, that if we don't give up monoclonal antibiotics and we decide to give only the immunoglobulins, it is not going to even suffice 5% of the batch. So we don't have the one. So we have no choice, we have to go into the monoclonal.
Thank you, Sharmila.
Just one caution, of course, not theoretical than practical, that these monoclonal antibodies have been tested against different strains of rabies virus and they have actually worked against all except the bet virus. Fortunately, we don't have bet virus rabies in our country, so both the monoclonal antibody will work as well against all rabies exposure. But in areas where there is exposure to the bet virus, the monoclonal antibody will not work because that has proven not to be active against that virus strain.
Thank you, sir. Now, this question is for all panelists. The 0 by 30 rabies elimination strategy. काय केलं पाहिजे ज्याने की by 2030 there will be no cases of rabies.
WHO has very categorically said, Rajendra, 2 things. If you want to achieve the goal of WHO in 2030, that there should not be a single dog bite related death. First, you should have 70% or more vaccinating the dogs in your area. Secondly, effective post-exposure prophylaxis of every individual with use of monoclonal antibodies or rabies immunoglobulin in a category 3 bite. And third, use of pre-exposure prophylaxis to all high-risk group, which has already been told by the panelists. If we can have all these three things together, with the availability of the quality modern cell culture vaccines, freely available low-cost monoclonal antibodies, significant awareness in the society for wound toileting like things, I think, and a knowledge percolated right up to the periphery of this country, I'm sure all of us will be able to contribute little, and by 2030, we'll be able to achieve the goal given by the WHO, and we will have no dog bite related rabies in our time. I think we should go with the positive attitude.
So I would just add, Doctor, that like country like US, they have no rabies, neither animal nor human. So if there's an exposure to animal, they don't give rabies vaccine unless the exposure has happened outside the country. Very recently, there was a scare because one cat was going around in a very rabid manner. So that cat was euthanized, and actually they found negative bodies in the cat. Then they took few more cats from that same ghetto of the cats which were moving around, and out of I think 4 or 5 more cats, one more had a negative body. So countries which feel that they are actually rabies free may not be completely rabies free. It's a miracle that the cases don't happen there, but it's a matter of time. And with the vaccination strategies being reworked in country like US, as we know all very recently, there is going to be a problem. So really, the country which are rabies free cannot boast that they will remain rabies free if they don't sustain their vaccination program for both humans and animals.
So talking about the US, one thing which we see there is that people in US don't adopt dogs, pedigree dogs, and all what we do here. They are adopting the state dogs. All the state dogs go to the center, and from there they adopt. If we start doing that here, instead of just feeding them and letting them be on the floor, let's adopt the dog. We take care of the dog, vaccinate the dog, and we decrease the rabies which is going on. That is one. And second is community awareness. In our country, many times we love our dogs and cats, and we just don't imagine that they can cause rabies. So that is the time we ourselves don't feel that the bite is significant. So community awareness is also so very important. And if beside that what Dr. Sanjay said, mass vaccination of the dog, more than 70%, and with improving the immunization, vaccination, I think we will be there by 2030. Rabies should be history.
Yes. Thank you, madam. Okay. So, what are for shortage of RIG? What are the allocation guidelines? Anybody? Hello.
It is more a public health issue rather than an issue for a private practitioner. But obviously, if you have shorting, the highest priority will go to children with high risk bites and category 3 bites, of course, and to people who are immunocompromised. See, in US and in Europe, they give monoclonal antibody for all class 2 also. So that's where this question is more important than in country like ours.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, few last 2-3 questions. Family education and compliance. So many time patients, relatives and patients are not adhering to vaccination schedule. मध्येच बंद करून देतात. So how to educate them?
So we have to explain the parent the significance of vaccination, completing the vaccination. Even though intermittent there is a delay, we have to complete. There is no need to restart the vaccination. That is what we have to emphasize. Second thing, for remembering vaccination, there should be some diary. There should be some notebook where the schedule is written, and at the same time it is checked and the date is written over there. Some reminder system. Nowadays, digital system can be done where the SMS can be sent to the patient, or there is some alarm system. On that day, the alarm is there and the parent has to visit the consulting for the vaccination. So such system can be done through which the parents get awareness.
Yes. Thank you. Can Nitin Shah sir and Sanjay Marathi sir summarize the common errors?
I think we already said these 6 points.
Yeah.
Delaying the first dose, missing the doses in between, not starting the RIG in time, giving RIG beyond 7 days after the first dose of vaccination, intramuscular vaccine given in the gluteal region, intradermal not given properly. But I think the most important is not doing a proper washing of the wound and giving the RIG intramuscularly. These are the common errors which we can avoid, and some of them may not be harmful but not beneficial, and some of them will be harmful, like giving intramuscular region in the gluteal region is actually invalid dose. And I have seen patients where all the 3 doses have been given intragluteally till the time they come to us. Now it's such a problem to give another 4 doses and worry about the patient not being properly immunized. So we can avoid this by only awareness. CME is awareness, and as I said, keep these guidelines ready as a ready reckoner with you when you are practicing, especially when you start new practice. I think the beginners have the maximum problem. Suddenly they come out in practice and they don't suddenly find, Array, what should I do? Either take help from people who know by sending WhatsApp, calling them up, or keep a ready reckoner with you.
Apart from the 5 points which sir has already said, the poor categorization of the wound, poor wound toileting, and poor knowledge, or you can say in the society, where they are not aware about the importance of giving this, and where the mortality is 100%. And third, because of the fear in your mind, the doctors are not giving immunoglobulins for the fear of anaphylaxis. So they are not giving RIG because of the fear of anaphylaxis at the cost of the death of that individual, because the RIG was not given. These are few things. So social awareness is, I think, very important, and the knowledge percolation to every medical fraternity person, whether he's from any, whether he's an allopath or homeopath or anybody, or a medical officer who is sitting at the periphery of this country, they must know how you should treat, how you should categorize it, and how you should give the vaccine with the complete dose and rabies immunoglobulin. I think that is
And I
what
think
we can.
the common myths that a small scratch doesn't matter, a little nail puncture doesn't matter, licking by cat doesn't matter.
Yeah, one
People
drop
think
is
only the wound,
insignificant.
like when they see a
Insignificant.
wound, flesh, blood is the one which leads to. So these are the myths. And I mean, I remember very many years back, one very important personality's son. He had some pet dogs, 7 or 8 of them. He died of rabies. There was no exposure history. Obviously, it must be licking by one of the dogs who rabid on one of the cuts on the skin or on the beard area or thing like that. So, it has to be taken very seriously. And when in doubt, give vaccine.
Sir, do you think that actually there should have been only 2 categories, category 1 and category 2?
I agree with you.
And because
That's what
of the non-availability of HRIG, the WHO might have given this category
Correct.
2, where you
Correct.
can save yourself also saying that this was the category 2
Correct.
HRIG, so you can avoid giving. Otherwise,
Agreed you.
if any
Agreed with
patient
you.
comes to us, it's category 3. Otherwise, they will never come to you.
So Western countries don't have category 2 at all. It's either exposure or no exposure.
तर काही क्वेश्चन माझे, उंदीर चावला, घूस चावली, मुंगूस चावला, ते काय तिघांमध्ये फरक? उंदीर, घूस
उंदीर
आणि
चावला
मुंग.
काय करायचं नाही, अनलेस यू आर इन अ जंगल इन अन एक्सकर्शन. दुसरं,
घूस घूस असते ना सर, ती
goose
मोठी
paper
घरात.
size doesn't matter. It's where the rat is in their house or is in the jungles.
अच्छा, जंगलामध्ये असेल तर.
Yes, wild rodent should be given protection.
Wild rodent, yes.
येस येस. आणि समजा डोळ्यामध्ये चावला, डोळ्यामधून रक्त आलं आणि किंवा आतून होटांमधून गम्सला चावलं, तर याच्यामध्ये कसं मॅनेजमेंट राहील सर?
Mucous membrane management. You have to rinse
As you
with
said, no?
You can instill in your eye and give full course as category 3, because it's a mucous membrane exposure. So category 3, there is no confusion.
पण मग सर कंजक्टिव्हामध्ये काय आपण
You have to instill the diluted monoclonal antibodies or human rabies immunoglobulin, diluted, and this diluted solution should be instilled slowly over the period of time. So this is how the best way you can neutralize the viruses which have gone. And
use it as eye drop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for mouth, use it as rinse. And even if the child swallows it, doesn't matter. It's not going to harm.
Yes, sir. And what about, yes, sir. what about the human to human transmission and human to human bite?
So
It's practically not there. Human to human transmission, except for the transplant, which is now of late it is also not there.
correct.
Secondly, you said human bite. Actually, it's a dead end. So usually you will not get rabies by human to human bite. But at the same time, those doctors or paramedicals who are handling the cases of rabies should be very careful, should wear the gloves and the mask all the time. Those who are working in the labs where rabies virus is there, they should always wear mask and gloves because they have demonstrated viruses in the body fluids like CSF, saliva, urine, so not in the blood. So whosoever is managing the case of suspected rabies or rabies should ensure that he has protected himself. Preferably, he should have taken a pre-exposure prophylaxis and monitored his antibody levels periodically. So in case it is less than 0.5, ensure you take one more dose and keep your levels above 0.5.
Not preferable, mandatory that he should have taken the vaccine before entering or touching an animal. All right, sir, time to go.
So one
Right,
last
time to-
question to Nitin Shah, sir. Because Milwaukee protocol is followed in Hinduja Hospital.
Oh my.
Experience.
Only
What
one
is your-
patient we have treated. Maybe Dr. Udani treated 2 or 3 of them. Only one survived. But I'm telling you, it's a horrible survival if someone survives rabies because there is a massive damage to the child. It's like a vegetative child. It was basically that you give antiviral like ribavirin and amantadine and keep the patient alive by ventilating and giving a coma by using midazolam drip and things like that. But all that is futile to do. It only prolongs the agony of the life. So that protocol has been given up world over. And nowadays, if you have a proven rabies, it's like 100% death.
So
Problem
any
comes
question
in
for
dumb
Dr.
rabies, which comes as encephalitis or encephalopathy, and there are differential diagnoses of brain encephalitis like Bickerstaff encephalitis, etc. So you have to prove that this is rabies or not rabies by having history of exposure in the past or an incomplete post-exposure prophylaxis taken, and you can prove it by doing a skin biopsy from the nape of the neck. Previously, we used to take from conjunctiva. That's not given because it's not specific. The nape of the neck is very specific. You can send the sample to NIMHANS. They will do the virus in situ hybridization, and that will prove that this is rabies. And once there's rabies, then you declare to the parents and see that all those who have been exposed to this child, like as Sanjay said, urine, their saliva, they should all be immediately given post-exposure prophylaxis.
Even, sir, validation has been given for CSF antibody titers.
Yes,
which
you can do
initially
that.
which was not there. So you can demonstrate
Yes.
by doing the CSF.
Yes.
So thank you. So before handing over to Mimansa Parashar, our lecturer, I will like to thank you all our expert panelists, Dr. Nitin Shah.
So you can stop sharing so that we can see everyone.
Just one question from Dr. Sheetal Pagar.
Sir, stop
Sir,
sharing
please stop sharing, sir.
so that we can see everyone. Yes, Dr. Sheetal Parag.
Yes, sir.
Pagar hai, sorry.
Sir, have been working in public healthcare systems and lots of from.
Can't hear.
You have to come to mic, Sheetal.
You have to come to near the laptop.
Yeah, laptop mic.
डॉक्टर सोनवणेची जागा तिकडे उभे राहून विचारा. म्हणजे आम्हाला दिसते सुद्धा की कोण विचारते आणि ऐकू येतं बरोबर.
So, sir, while I was working in corporation hospital, lots of interstate patient used to come. They would not have any, like from private as well as from public healthcare system. So some patients from private, they would not have any proof what vaccine they have given. So is it okay if they don't have a proof of which vaccine, like they have given 2 doses, and they came to Trambakeshwar and they suddenly remembered day 7 ka lena hai, madam, aap vaccine do. So how safe it is
For me,
Correct. So for
vaccine,
rabies vaccination, pre-exposure, post-exposure, re-exposure is documented pre-exposure, documented post-exposure, or documented re-exposure. If there is no document, you believe that what was given was not correct and you restart. But if the municipal hospital or wherever they have taken, if they've given the vaccination, even if they've written anti-rabies vaccine 1 and 2 without naming the brand, that is valid. But if there is no written document, don't believe it. Don't go by the recall of the patient. They might have just taken tetanus toxoid and you will think that they actually took rabies vaccine.
Yeah, that always used to be the question whether they received the intramuscular TT or whether they received. So you start as a new schedule, right?
No, so if they have received documentation, they would have said anti-rabies. So whether it was intradermal or intramuscular doesn't matter because you can switch from one to the other route and one brand to
And
the other brand. So that's not the
if they
question.
don't, if they don't have a proof, sir, then in that
No, what do you mean by
situation,
not having proof? Written proof is what I'm saying. If they have written document paper, BMC
yes,
paper or hospital paper, then it's a documentation.
okay. And if they are like coming for just 7 days here and they request you a day 7 dose, in
Give
that
it,
situation, is it
give
safe?
it. It's safe.
Okay.
If they have the previous 2 dates of the vaccination, then it is safe.
Okay, sir. And one
To
more
save
thing.
yourself, I have one suggestion. In case there is no proper documentation, write
Yes, sir.
down there is no documentation of the previous doses. I am
Yes.
giving as a 0 dose, advise
Yeah.
day 3 and day 7
Okay.
and day 14. If they do not take it, it is their responsibility.
Okay. Yeah.
But at least you
Legal
have taken
point
the
of
care
view,
that
I
you
will
said this is my first dose, maybe
yeah.
say day 7 for him. Then let
Yeah.
him go wherever he wants and then take the remaining dose.
But
Yes.
generally, if they have gone to a proper municipal or a government setup, they would give on paper written what has been
Details and
given.
all.
So it's very
Yes.
unlikely that they would just verbally give it and tell verbally.
In corporation, there used to be some patients, sir, madam, हम वो वाला पेपर वहाँ का केस पेपर भूल गए हैं.
हाँ,
And
भूल
that
गए
is
तो
what-
पेशेंट को वापस लेना है तो कॉर्पोरेशन का
that
मिस्टेक
is
नहीं, वो
what
पेशेंट का
is,
मिस्टेक है.
yes, yes. And one more thing, my friend who's a radiologist who's got a female dog who had one set of puppies last year. She had scratch. She got the pre-exposure and post-exposure prophylaxis for her child. This year, she has got a new set of puppies. So in that situation, again, same thing, the child puts hand in the mouth, the puppy licks onto the face of the child. So and I can't see a category 2 or category 3 wound on her daughter's hand or any
No, I
on
understand your question. You are asking that if new puppies have been born, what
if
do you
you
do for someone
yes
who has
sir
taken post or pre-exposure? Those puppies have never gone out of the
correct
house. Then there is no
yes,
exposure of those puppies to any other animal. If these puppies go out, then
yes.
theoretically every exposure which is to be taken as a re-exposure. But it's very difficult practically because they say अरे every day वो bite करता है, नाखून मारता है, भगवान बचाता है उनको.
Even mother can go out and then she might be getting infected. So
Correct.
better to
So
advise them 2 doses.
so
all
So
all food
my this one advice to people who have pets is the number one, pet should be immunized every year. All right. Number two, you should take pre-exposure. Number three, the pet should not go out of the house unsupervised by a reliable person.
Everything.
That's the best way. Then if they have not gone out unsupervised or if not gone out at all, like many cats don't go out at all of the house, then there is no need even if there are bites. Then it's okay.
okay.
Otherwise, that's the
Thank you.
price you pay to keep pets. That you get scratch and you take vaccine. You get scratch and you take a vaccine. So you prefer pets over humans, and this is what the price you pay.
Yes sir, thank you sir, thank you so much.
Ravindra, is it 5 days week for you?
But
Very thankful to our expert panelists, Dr. Nitin Shah sir, Sanjay Marathe sir, शर्मिला कुलकर्णी मॅडम. त्यांनी मला हे स्लाइड बनवताना बरंचसं गाईड केलेलं आहे आणि CIP प्रेसिडेंट वसंत खलटकर सर आणि टीम आणि महाआयपी संजय पाकमोडे सर आणि अमोल पवार यांनी झूम लिंक फ्लायर्स वगैरे बनवून दिले आणि ऑपॉर्च्युनिटी दिली त्याबद्दल थँक्यू. Now I invite Dr. Mimamsa to say words of thanks.
Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone.
On behalf of Pediatrics Department at Dr. Vasant Rao Pawar Medical College, Nashik, I take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all those who made today's World Rabies Prevention Day meaningful and impactful. First and foremost, I thank our respected panelists, Dr. Nitin Shah sir, Dr. Sanjay Marathe sir, Dr. Sharmila Kulkarni ma'am, and Dr. Deepa Joshi ma'am for gracing this occasion and sharing their valuable insights. I thank our moderator, the head of Pediatrics Department, Dr. Ravindra Sunavne, for truly inspiring us with your words, sir, and the wonderful presentation. Sincere thanks are extended to our Dean, Dr. Sudhir Bhamre, for virtually joining us on this occasion. Special thanks to all our distinguished attendees, to the CIAP members, National President Dr. Vasant Khalatkar, President-elect Dr. Neelam Mohan, immediate past President Dr. G.V. Basavaraja, Treasurer Dr. Atanu Bhadra, VP West Zone Dr. Ramesh Bajania, and Dr. Samir Dalwai. Thank you to Maha-IAP members, President Dr. Sanjay Pakmore, Secretary General Dr. Amol Pawar, and Treasurer Dr. Ravindra Sunavne. Thank you to the Nashik IAP bearers, Dr. Sagar Bhalerao, Dr. Atul Bonde, Dr. Sheetal Pagar, and Dr. Avinash Gore for joining us today. To all those who are virtually present and physically present, you have added great value to the event. Thanks are also due to Deputy Medical Superintendent Dr. Mangesh Jadhav, our PG Coordinator Dr. Ravindra Sunavne, and HODs and faculties of all departments who attended today's event. A big thank you to the Pediatric Department. Your dedication made today's program a success. Thank you to the supporting staff for helping us relay everything smoothly. To the ever-encouraging audience, the undergraduate and postgraduate students, physiotherapy and nursing students, thank you for being the dedicated listeners. As we conclude today, I hope whatever we learned stays with us in our practice. Together, let us be the voice of prevention and the hands of protection. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ravi sir. Thank you, Nitin sir. Thank you,
Bye.
Sanjay
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Thank you, everyone.